Do you actually care? Not theoretically, not in the abstract. Do you truly, genuinely care? Maybe not as much as you think you do. Hey guys, welcome back to Ish Matters. Excuse the different background. I am currently in the United States and this is not my room. So, welcome to the new environment. Today we're going to be talking about something that really bugs me and it's going to bug you a little bit too. I'm going to make you incredibly uncomfortable because I'm going to come right at you, but it's okay. Discomfort is the prerequisite for growth, right? Right. So let's get right into it. We live in a world where caring has become this performance, this spectacle. And posting a black square or resharing a video about genocide is considered activism, where people post about climate change from their iPhone 15 and post statistics of global poverty from a poolside in Cancun, where we claim to care about Gaza, Yemen, Sudan, and the Congo, but we can't boycott Starbucks because, well, frappuccinos are far too important. We share stories about racial injustice and world hunger while ordering Uber Eats and voting for people who, well, gentrify our own neighborhoods. So what is it? Do we just not care? Are we doing this for the sake of moral superiority? Are we doing it for attention? Are we even capable of caring amidst the overload of information and news being thrown at us every single day? We need to ask these questions because clearly something is wrong. We don't care as much as we think we do. Now, don't get me wrong, I fall into the same category. There was a time in my life where I would post about things that didn't truly move me. In fact, I've reached a point in life where a lot of things don't really move me anymore. I no longer have that tightness in my chest or the furrow in my eyebrows or the sweatiness of my palms. I no longer debate things for hours with people, and I no longer stay up really late at night looking at information about world news. Things that I once really truly cared about that left me restless and angry don't do that to me anymore. And it's not because I don't care about anything anymore. I do. It's just that the things I care about has the category has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's normal. I mean, for many, many reasons, which we'll get into. But one is it's really hard to care about what's happening all over the world when you're trying to just figure out how to live day by day. But then why do we continue to post? Do we actually care about people being informed? Are we actually doing it for the right reasons? Are we altruistic? Are we selfless? What's happening here? Because it seems like, and I've experienced this at some point in my life, we only post for that audience, for that clout, if you will. I'm using a Gen Z term because I know my audience. Now, when I care and when I ask people how they care, it's mostly intellectual. It's mostly a fleeting thought, an analysis of what is right and what is wrong. Is there a moral breach? Is there an ethical breach? If so, I should technically be angry, but that anger doesn't show up in our bodies anymore. It shows up as this temporary, fleeting thing that we experience for maybe a nanosecond and then it is gone. But I want to care. I want to be moved to tears by news of world hunger and genocide and poverty, but I'm simply not. Neuroscience backs this up with a concept of compassion fade. This is dubbed by Paul Slovic, a professor of psychology at the University of Oregon, who did some research showing that we respond more emotionally to individual suffering rather than mass suffering. And so our neurons, our compassion systems in our brains, they respond to a single crying or starving child much more than they do to news of a million starving or crying children. Our compassion systems are not wired for this digital scale. In human history, we only knew news about our neighborhood, at most our town. And now we know news about the world. But is our brain even built to handle that? And if so, is this really compassion or is it really ego? Sigmund Freud has this theory. I hate to bring up Freud, but I have to because, well, to make this episode more well rounded. Sigmund Freud believed that all human behavior is driven by a subconscious desire for gratification. And so maybe, posting about world hunger and global affairs gives us that kick, the gratification we need for our ego to feel like we are morally superior in some capacity, that we are better than the people who are not posting. Maybe, just maybe. And so in this, the real caring becomes secondary to the appearance or performance of caring that, well, that gives us that gratification. Let's not lie here. I've done it too, because somewhere along the line, being informed became synonymous with caring. And caring is something you could prove with pixels. The philosopher David Runciman talks about clicktivism and how it gives people this false sense of having done something. You see, when you're looking at the world and you're seeing it go up in flames, you want to feel like you're doing something. And so maybe those pixels that you post up on your story that takes you exactly 1 second, it's like scratching an itch. It doesn't really do anything, but it feels good. In sociology, this aligns with a theory of social capital, where acts like posting or protesting online accrue social value without any substantive impact. So even if the post is devoid of actual value, it's like a currency exchange, false virtue for visibility. So why do we do it? Because we want to help, or because we want to be seen as someone who helps or wants to help? From an evolutionary standpoint, moral behavior did not evolve purely as altruism. While altruism is a whole other conversation that we will get into when I finish reading my altruism book, but it evolved because of other things like social cohesion and mating advantage. Studies in evolutionary psychology show that signaling moral behavior actually increased your stance in the social circle you were in and the tribe you were in, and you had better chances of mating with people. So, exhibiting moral behavior is less about actually being moral and more about the appearance of being moral and how that can help you in your group. And another point about altruism, in Richard Dawkins' Selfish Gene, he argues for reciprocal altruism. So it's a strategy for gene survival, because when you have reciprocal altruism, you have this social cohesion and you ensure group survival. Because if I scratch your back, you scratch mine, right? But also, there's another aspect to this. When we scratch someone else's back, we have this warm glow feeling, as they call it. And it's that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. So actually, you might be doing it for your own happiness, not necessarily gratification, not necessarily inflating your ego, and not necessarily for visibility. Maybe it's just to feel good inside. So this begs the question, is there such thing as pure altruism? Do we do it because we really want to, or do we do it to feel good, appear good, seem good to ourselves and to people? Is it simply a facade? And if any of these are true, is the caring real or is it fake? Is it productive if it's not true? Do the means justify the end? And don't get me wrong, there is value in awareness, but when does awareness become avoidance? When does empathy become entertainment? We scroll through devastating news while our brain numbs us to the horrors of it. And it's not our fault. We are neurologically unequipped to deal with devastation at this scale. Again, our compassion systems are not built for digital scale. Paul Slovic, the psychology professor we mentioned earlier, also dubbed something called psychic numbing. The more we witness horror, the less we feel when we do witness it. And so, the more we are exposed to human suffering, the less compassionate we become. The numbers go up, our empathy goes down. It's all backwards, but it's very, very human. And then there's Byung-Hul Chan's theory. In his Burnout Society, which we have an episode on right here, um, he talks about people being burnt out because we are driven by internal forces rather than external forces now. We are achievement subjects. We just want to do, optimize, achieve. And we have these endless and endless to-do lists, and so caring becomes one more thing on that to-do list. Go to work, eat healthy, post about Gaza, save the planet from climate change, use recyclable materials, drink water, go to yoga, and then go to sleep at 8 p.m. Hey, but maybe we've intellectualized this and put it on a to-do list because we're simply exhausted. And we should be. Cognitive load theory outlines that the brain has a limited capacity to process complex tasks in one certain time period. Emotional labor, like caring, is actually adding to our cognitive load. And we have so much of it now. But to preserve resources and to protect ourselves, our brain begins to shut down. And so we don't really care, maybe, not because we don't want to, but because we're just burnt out and our brain is trying to protect us from just completely shutting down. If you were scrolling through news about Gaza, Yemen, Sudan, the Congo, Libya, the list goes on, all over the world, if you're scrolling through that news and you feel like you just can't get yourself to do the next task, like do your laundry or complete that assignment at work, you're not crazy. It is actually adding to your cognitive load, whether you know it or like it or not. And even when we're tired and burnt out and we can't seem to do anything, we still post. But why? If no one saw your post, does it even matter? If a bunch of people saw your post, do you feel good about yourself? If you don't post, are you complicit in the injustice? If you do post, does that absolve you from all other action? Philosopher Immanuel Kant says that intention over consequence. So, from a Kantian perspective, posting without a follow through is still a sign of goodwill. But existentialists like Sartre might say it's bad faith, performing morality without actually acting upon it. We have all of these values and moral stances, but do we actually live them? Most of us don't. There are no easy answers to these questions, and I'm not here to answer them for you. I'm simply here to provoke some thought within us. Because maybe we really do just want to raise awareness. Maybe that's all we can do. Because we live in a system designed to overwhelm us, and we're broke and we're tired, and maybe we don't have a voice, and all we can do is click post on that story. But I want you to really examine the constant posting about things you know about and things you don't know about, from people who you may know, from people who you may not know. It has consequences. Every action we do ripples throughout the universe, whether you believe it or not. This is my standing, and I'm sticking to it. I'm peer pressuring you to believe what I believe. That's a terrible trait for a teacher. Backtrack. We have confused moral posturing for moral action. It is not. Yes, maybe caring and taking action is a luxury. Maybe really all we can do is post. But we should examine and ask questions about what it is we're doing on a daily basis. If we signal virtue, we must embody it. Embodying virtue requires sacrifice, and many of us don't want to do that. But don't be a hypocrite. I'm talking to you, Starbucks drinkers, and I want you to know that we live in an attention economy. Our emotions have become commodified, and so we give sympathy and outcry and protest as though unpaid labor. But for what? More importantly, for who? The ancient Stoics, like Epictetus, would have encouraged us to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. Caring without action, they might argue, is meaningless, and if empathy can't translate into agency, then it becomes indulgent. Philosophy, and I would argue morality, demands congruence between values and behaviors. So think about that. And so, in the end, maybe you don't really care. Maybe not as much as you want to or think you do. And that's okay. We are humans and we are going through something so strange. For the first time in human history, we are experiencing such new things that are so overwhelming to us neurologically, physiologically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all the illies. We're dealing with a lot. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living, and so examine, darling, darlings. That was weird. I don't want to call you guys darlings. Anyways, this was like a short and sweet, serious episode. I just really had it on my heart and needed to say it to you guys. Um, so let's not mistake visibility for virtue. Let's do a little bit better about matching our moral signals to our behaviors, and let's keep ourselves informed. Stay happy, stay healthy. I will see you next time here on this channel.